Welcome into another edition of the Stacking the Box podcast. I am Matt Verderam, joined by Super Bowl champion quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. Drew, how you doing today?
Doing great. How you doing?
Doing well. I know you're working with Lowe's. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the company and why you're doing it?
Yeah, so I'm GM of the Lowe's home team. Have been for the last 2 years. Lowe's has made a $100 million commitment over the next 5 years to be able to fund projects in NFL communities. I'm partnering with guys, current NFL players like Micah Parsons, Travis Kelce, Justin Herbert, just to name a few, but so many guys that are doing great things in their communities. But anytime you have a company like Lowe's who's willing to make that type of commitment, $100 million over 5 years, that's tremendous. It's going to make a huge impact. In fact, I was in New Orleans with the Lowe's team and members of lower9.org, which is a great organization there. We were building a kind of a multi-use housing kind of facility that's going to have a food pantry. It's going to have a gathering place for community members. It's going to have an incubator for businesses and 501c3s. It's going to have some living facilities. Really cool project, and will make a huge impact in that community.
Now, obviously, you went to New Orleans at a time when the city really needed to be uplifted after Hurricane Katrina. And, it's well documented. You had your options of going there, going to the Dolphins. What about New Orleans was something that attracted you to the city, and then maybe even something that surprised you about the city as you got there and you start to live there for years on end?
Yeah. The resiliency of that community, that community has been through so much and continues to go through so much. I think, you think back to Hurricane Katrina, it's hard to believe, that was, 17 years ago now at this point. And yet, you still can go to certain areas and feel like, man, it looks like this happened yesterday, so there's still so much work to be done. So even though we're making tons and tons of progress, it's just a constant, I think, struggle and challenge. But at the same time, I think you just have more and more people that are rising to the occasion and want to help and want to lend a helping hand. And so I think it's combining these efforts to get everybody going in the same direction and really just start chipping away at the things that need to be done. I think that's the part that's so intriguing about the opportunity that lies ahead for us in the future. New Orleans is such an incredible place, such an incredible culture, such an incredible heartbeat. So many people see it as a place to come and visit and hang out, which it is, one of the live music capitals of the world, and the cuisine and, obviously the kind of the game day atmosphere that like a Saints game or Pelicans game or just kind of that downtown can give you, the parades, Mardi Gras, French Quarter Fest, et cetera, et cetera. But I think what we want to show New Orleans as is, it's a great place to live. It's a great place to do business. It's a great place to, be a part of the community. And so that's what we're looking for.
You mentioned the game day experience. I'm curious, Superdome is known as one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL, if not the loudest. You played there for a long time. What was the loudest you ever heard the Superdome?
Oh man. The one that sticks out the most is when we reopened the Superdome and Steve Gleason blocked the punt against the Atlanta Falcons, which to me symbolized so much of the resurgence of our city. But also I think it just like that is, if I were to say what's the single greatest moment in Saints history, that paved the way for everything that we would accomplish after that, which was a Super Bowl championship, which was many records, which was, many winning seasons and playoff bursts and just moments. But I think that, if I were to just encapsulate, just what the symbol of our city, it was, we got knocked down, and not only are we getting back up, but we're getting back up stronger than ever.
You played also for the Chargers. You really got to play both conferences. I'm curious, what was the toughest stadium as a quarterback for you to play in as an opponent?
Yeah. Seattle, when they were rolling, Legion of Boom. And, I remember we played there on a Monday night in 2013, and it was nuts. It was nuts. I've never heard a place that loud. Now they had speakers right next to our sideline, and they were just blaring those the whole time. I don't know if that's legal, but it was loud nonetheless. Lambeau, I always loved playing in just because the history of the game. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, same thing. History of the game, just some of these historical places that I think just represent, so much of where our game has come from and where it is now. So those would be my favorite.
You mentioned the Arrowhead Stadium, and I wanted to ask you about a former Chiefs coach who was your head coach for the first 4 years of your career with Marty Schottenheimer. Unfortunately, passed away a year ago. I've read your book, Coming Back Stronger, and you talked about Marty and how in the beginning, you went back and forth to starter backup, then he eventually put you in as a starter, but you always seem to, at least through the book, have a lot of confidence in him and enjoyed playing for him. What are your recollections of Marty and how important to you was he in your career?
Yeah, he was a huge part of my career. And he was a tough old school football coach. But man, when I say the guy knew how to win and he knew the formula for winning, he absolutely did. All you have to do is look at his record to see that, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There's no question. He would let you know at any moment how it was. If you want to know the truth, go ask Marty the truth. He'll tell you the truth. And sometimes it wasn't what you wanted to hear, but he was going to give it to you. And honestly, that was the thing that I most respect about him. And the thing that I would say is the most important attribute of a coach is just to be honest with your players and let them know exactly how it is and where they stand. And I think that's all you can ask for as a player too. There was plenty look, I got benched 3 times under Marty Schottenheimer, but it was probably the greatest thing that happened to me. It never happened to me up until that point. But man, there was a growth opportunity that took place as a result of that helped me reach new heights, that helped me develop a lot of character traits, that helped me develop a lot of football traits that served me really well throughout my career.
Couple of quick ones. We're 3 weeks into the season. Look, we know the main Super Bowl contenders. Give me a team that maybe is a little bit of a dark horse Super Bowl contender that you think can make a run here at some point.
That's a good question. I mean, look, I think when you look at Miami's roster, I think Miami's roster is really good, top to bottom. And so much that's going to come down to, can the defense stay healthy and quarterback play, right? I'm excited about this game tonight, Cincy and Miami. Look, I'd say, Buffalo was kind of my favorite, early on, and they still are, obviously that kind of goes with the expectations. I think everybody expected them to be really good, but man, I think they're poised and ready. It's it's going to be interesting. I'd say those are probably the 2 I have my eye on the most.
Fair enough. Hey, Drew Brees joining us here on the Stack in the Box podcast, working with Lowe's, GM of the home team. Drew, thanks so much for joining us, giving us a few minutes, and all the best down the road.
No problem. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.